I was minding my business last night, as I usually do after 9 o'clock Eastern, and at 9:36 p.m. East Coast time came the very lengthy and detailed and convoluted statements. No, actually, just a handful of words from both Bill Belichick, head coach at North Carolina for now, and Bubba Cunningham, the athletic director that brought him to town, said, Belichick, I'm fully committed to UNC football and the program we're building here. Said Cunningham, Coach Belichick has the full support of the Department of Athletics and University. And to anyone who wasn't paying attention to that, we bring in Myles Simmons now. Anyone who wasn't following the unfolding reports of deterioration and dysfunction, they'd see that and they'd like, well, okay. So they really assume that people are up to speed, and I hadn't thought of that. But implicit in the mere existence of that message is everybody knows about the rampant reports that it's falling apart.
Well, the thing is, and good morning, Mike, I think when you have a situation where it gets to this point, it's where there's smoke, there's fire, right? I mean, it's the same thing that happened a couple of days ago after Sunday Night Football and Drake May goes off, and then everybody is basically reporting, hey, UNC has been told, the football digital team has been told, hey, don't celebrate Drake May because he plays for the Patriots, and our head coach has an axe to grind with the New England Patriots because guess what? He used to work there and he don't work there no more. Now he works here. So, as somebody who has worked, behind the scenes on digital teams, I understand how those directives can sometimes come down. Right. And so then we have to see like, oh, no. UNC, they put out a tweet about Drake May. And you know when it happens? After everybody has been talking about it online. And it's the same thing here. We see this. There's reporting after reporting after reporting that things are not going well. Right. There was a barrage of reports all day yesterday, Mike. And it is now, I feel like, a matter of when, not if, Bill Belichick finds his way out the door at UNC football, because guess what? He ain't going to coach there in 2026 because who the hell is going to play for him? They have no choice.
Just last week, Mike Lombardi, the GM of the team, sent an email to donors and boosters explaining the plan for next year. And the plan is to get upwards of 40 freshmen, because if they're going to build this thing, they need to build it with guys who are going to be there. Never mind the fact that the best ones will go somewhere else and make more money. It just misses the point, because in this day and age, you can change the tire on the moving car. You can use the transfer portal to make your team better. And they picked up 70-plus players last year. And what did it do? The players aren't good enough. Mm-hmm. And if the goal, Myles, is to recruit 40 freshmen, they presumably want the best freshmen they can get. But all of this stuff that's been percolating, set aside the 3 blowout losses to FBS schools, everything after that, starting with the exhaustive report from WRAL, reports of rules violations, suspension of assistant coach, kids reselling or selling free tickets they had gotten, and just the general funk around the program. Good luck convincing anyone to choose to go to North Carolina, anyone who has options anywhere else.
That's the funny thing too, Mike. And I don't remember exactly where I read it, because everybody's reporting on Belichick these days and the things that are going on at UNC. But there was a group of 5 coach that said, hey, oh my gosh, I'm losing players to North Carolina in the portal or in recruiting. That's when I know that team's going to stink. Yes. Because that team can't get anybody. They're getting my guys. Oh man, like that. That's not good for them. So there has been, a sense of, hey, this is not necessarily going to be the most talented group of players. But because Bill Belichick is Bill Belichick, right, and executed at the highest levels of football for decades, you would think that there is at least some sort of scheme advantage, but there's not. And, it's just everything that now surrounds this program is just so clouded in just mess that it feels to me really, really, really unfair to the student athletes who went there under the guise of, hey, Bill Belichick is going to be able to turn you into a pro-ready player. That's not going to happen. And it's very, very, very clear that there is no real path forward with Belichick there, because it's clear at this point that he can't do the things that he has promised. And so now, like I said, it's a mess that UNC is going to have to clean up in some sort of way. And it feels like so many of those players were sold a bill of goods. And I feel most badly in this situation for them, because they don't deserve that. You know, when you go someplace and you're going to play for somebody who won 6 Super Bowls as a head coach, you expect better than this. And it's not fair, but it is the reality of the situation. And now UNC's got to figure out a way out of it.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that angle. If there are any players on the team that they actually want to keep for next year, why would those guys stay?
I wouldn't.
If any of these reports, especially the WRAL report, which really was the most exhaustive and eye-opening look behind the curtain, and it's almost like people were holding back until they got stomped by Clemson, and now it's open season. Mm-hmm. They had a week to get ready for that game, and it was a complete disaster. It was 28-3 at the end of the first quarter, and 28-3 worked out one time for Bill Belichick. It wasn't working out with this North Carolina team. And it's funny.
Tom Brady walking through that door.
Yeah, no further eligibility for Tom Brady. But 38-10 was actually a surprising final score.
Yeah.
Given how bad it was in the first quarter of that game. But, they set themselves up for this. And if you're going to be prideful, if you're going to be borderline arrogant and describe yourself as the 33rd NFL team, which Belichick's consigliere and GM Mike Lombardi repeatedly did. They're the 33rd NFL team. And that's their selling point. You come here, you're getting your PhD in football, and we're going to place you into the NFL, which is misleading on its face, because it's still a small percentage of guys that make it in the NFL. You don't go to college to major in football. You think you do, but not many of the guys who play big-time college football are going to ever earn a paycheck beyond the one that they can now earn at the college level. And then if you're going to combine arrogance with, I don't know, I want to be fair here. I want to think of the right word that is objective and proper. How about weird? Is weird good?
Okay,
if you're going to be arrogant and you're going to do weird, unusual things that make you the center of attention for the wrong reason, the interview with the hole in the shirt and the girlfriend shutting down the question, and then the ongoing gripes and grievances. Somebody explained to me recently that Bill Belichick is always one of two things. He's the hero or he's the victim. And when things go well, he's the guy that did it. When things don't go well, it's this person's fault, it's this person's fault, it's that person's fault. Remember, they blamed the publicist from the company that made his book. Like, it's never his fault for anything. So when you come to the table with that and you fall flat on your face, it makes it worse, because there's no redeeming quality that anyone's going to look to and feel sorry for him or give him the benefit of the doubt. They're going to be like, dude, you stepped on that rake and you knew you were stepping on that rake.
The thing that I keep thinking about, Mike, is, I sat in this chair. We were talking a few years ago after Las Vegas hired Josh McDaniels to be their head coach, which obviously was a disaster. But then Bill Belichick installs Matt Patricia and Joe Judge to run the offense. And I remember we're saying, hey, if anybody else was doing this, we would be severely criticizing them more than we are doing with Belichick. And, at the time, it seemed absurd, but it's okay. Bill Belichick has earned the benefit of the doubt, but that was a disaster, right? And it's just been one thing after another with Belichick, where you're questioning, like, why are you doing this? This doesn't make sense. And so that's where I'm just like, man, so many things about all of this have not made sense, going back to that and thinking about his last couple of years with the New England Patriots, where he's yo-yoing between Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones and weird offensive coordinator stuff. And then, they hired Bill O'Brien and also, but it's just, it was just weird at the time. And then, the whole interview process with the Atlanta Falcons, like, I think it's pretty fair to say, irrespective of how Raheem Morris turns out, I think Raheem Morris can be a good head coach in this league. The Falcons were absolutely right to say hell no to Bill Belichick and all that stuff that would have come into their building when he wanted that job, because it was one of the jobs that were available. So it is really interesting to me today to sit here and see all of these things that have resulted with Belichick over the last few years. And it's like, it's hard in some ways to say that his legacy is tarnished, because we all watched what he did for so many years with the New England Patriots. I mean, he is the greatest head coach of all time in the National Football League. It just is. However, this stuff, it stinks to high heaven. And it's not good for him. It's not good for the student athletes. It's not good for anybody. It's certainly not good for UNC.
It's good for our business. I know that, because this is one of those stories that people are fascinated by. We've never seen anything like it. Like, as the season was approaching, somebody asked me, why do you cover Bill Belichick? It's like, this is unprecedented. A guy who is arguably the greatest NFL coach of all time has no seat. I mean, we all thought, and someone told me recently, one of the reasons he played nice with Robert Kraft when they did their joint press conference is he thought he had a bird in the hand in Atlanta. He thought he was going to land somewhere else right away as a head coach. He was going to go somewhere better than where he was. So he was going to be the winner. He was going to be the hero, because he was going to go somewhere else in 2024, and he was going to have a far better team and a far better performance than he had in New England. And then once it didn't work out in Atlanta, and I'm sure it didn't help that there was a report at some point that Robert Kraft supposedly said to Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, you can't trust Bill Belichick. And I don't know whether or not that's true. I think it's been disputed by Kraft, but that was out there. So that adds to this animosity. But just this idea, settling scores, having grievances, and somebody suggested he's in cognitive decline. It's like, look, I hope that I'm still able to be gainfully employed when I'm 73. I think it's just, and I said arrogance earlier, it's hubris and delusion fueled by the success with no one around it. And we all need someone around us who will tell us that we ain't nearly as good as we think we are. We all need that. And he clearly doesn't have that, Myles, because the people around him are feeding into the ego and feeding into this idea that he really is a football god and he can do nothing wrong, which makes me wonder how he's feeling now that the bottom has come out of his first season with North Carolina.
I wonder that too. And, it's funny, we started the segment with those two statements, right, from Belichick and the AD. And it's like, I want to go to the Anchorman meme where, I don't believe you. I don't. Like, there's no reason to believe that when there's so much smoke going on in and around this program that things are not right. We know things are not right. And you've got an assistant coach who gets suspended for giving improper benefits, which the improper benefit is a sideline pass. Like, come on, NCAA. Like, let's we can loosen things up there a little bit. I mean, like, when I was a team employee, I used to get sideline passes, like for my friends and family. Like, that's silly to me, but still, it's against the rules. And like, as an assistant coach who has been a college assistant coach for years, it's against the rules. So that's where you're also like, hey, Bill Belichick has pushed, let's call it, the edges, right? He's played around in that sandbox of, I'm kind of flaunting the rules here. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to punish me? Like, this is something that goes back decades. So that's also not necessarily the biggest surprise when it comes to things that Belichick would allow in his program. But I'm fascinated as to see when it is that we get the news that Bill Belichick is no longer going to be the HC of UNC, because it's coming. It's coming.
Written on a napkin.
Yeah,
Real quick, we got to take a break. Let me just say this. I'm stunned that there'd been no pushback from the school in the aftermath of the Monday night reporting. And there was nothing at all until this statement that drops out of nowhere last night. I think it's part of a broader push and pull that relates to how much money is going to change hands when he goes. I think that's all it is. And it may be a bit of a staring contest. I'm fully committed. Well, I'm fully committed. Well, I'm fully committed. Well, how are we going to end this? I don't know. I'm fully committed. What are you going to pay me to make me not committed? So we'll see how it goes. But the widespread report or the widespread reaction was, we don't, as you said, the Anchorman gif. I don't believe you.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.